everybody. I'm going to be doing a video on layering multicolor rhinestone transfers. So I have my templates already cut out. So I have the two templates here, and I'm going to show you how I lay each individual piece to make it one and then press it onto a shirt. So I'm going to be using these really pretty purple rhinestones, and these are more of an amorous kind of like an AB rhinestone, so they'll change color once the sun hits it, kind of like almost like a holographic type of vibe. So I have all my stuff laid out here. I have my templates, my rhinestone, as well as my hot fix tape, my brush, and my scooper to pick my stones up and scoop them back into the jars when I'm finished with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera around so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll also go over to the heat press and get the shirt pressed as well.
All right, so we are all set. I have my templates that I'm going to be working with, my rhinestones, my brush. I have a pair of tweezers, a larger painter's brush, as well as my scoop that I'll be using, and my piece of hot fix tape. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the larger of the two patterns, well, the piece that has the most rhinestones. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that backing off, put that to the side, and get it stuck to my board. And just lay that down. And this board I actually got at Office Max, Office Depot, whichever one it is. But you could get it at Staples, Walmart, Target, or you could order one from Amazon. So now I'm just pouring the rhinestones right onto the template, and I do pour a lot. I found what works for me is when I pour a lot and I just start brushing them on there. They fall into the holes a lot easier versus me trying to do a little bit at a time. So do whatever works for you. This is just what I found has worked for me. And so you just want to brush in a circular motion as you're going around the template. There is no certain way that you need to brush the stones. Well, no certain pattern that you need to work in. So I kind of just pour them in and kind of just work my way around the template. And then you'll see that I start working from pretty much the right side over to the left. And that's usually how I work on most of my designs. I notice that just, it kind of helps me see what's been filled in, what still needs to be filled in. And I just kind of move over a little bit as I go. So you can see now I'm just brushing the stones out the way. And you just, as long as you're brushing them in the direction of your pattern. So if your pattern is, a vertical design, meaning the way the stones are laid or the pattern's cut, then you just cut it that way. If it's kind of slanted or anything like that, you would just brush the stones in that direction, and that'll help so you don't knock out stones out of the holes as you're brushing them off of the template. So as you can see, I got the G finished here, and so I'm just kind of working the extra stones or the excess stones off of that section, and off of that letter. I'm gonna just keep moving over to my left, doing the same thing. So with Rhinestone templates, if you're purchasing them or even if you're creating your own, one tip that I do have is never resize your design once you've converted it into a rhinestone template. Once you convert it into a rhinestone template, if you try to resize it at that point, your holes will be off. Either they'll be too big or too small, and your stones won't fit, and you won't be able to brush them in. So I suggest making sure you have your design or your image size where you want it, and then you would convert it into a rhinestone template so you can cut it. So never resize your pattern or your template once you've created it, because you just won't, it'll be a headache. Trust me, I've done it before. So I'm trying to share the knowledge so no one else makes my mistakes. And so with the rhinestones, I have a lot of people that ask me, can I do rhinestones and Cricut, or make them in Design Space? Now, you cannot make them in Design Space. Silhouette Studio has a rhinestone panel, and that's pretty much what I work out of. And you would need a software that's compatible for you to upload it. Well, not really a software. You need to be able to save it either as preferably a SVG, so you can upload it into Design Space. You can either do that by downloading the Silhouette software, but you do have to have at least the Designer Edition, which is a one-time paid cost that you would have to have in order to have access to the rhinestone panel. The free version does not give you access. Another option would be Scale 5, which is just short for Sure Cuts a Lot 5, version 5. And you can create your templates in there, save them as a SVG to your desktop, and then upload them into Cricut Design Space. Now, sometimes when you do upload them into Cricut Design Space, it may be the exact size. 9 times out of 10, it's going to upload and it might be huge. So you'll just need to make sure the same measurements that you use, your height and your width, in Scale 5, you need to make sure those sizes match exactly what you input into Design Space. Again, that goes back to the sizing. So if you change the sizing, you're changing the template, which is going to make your holes off. So just make sure you write down or screenshot or something, take a note of the size that you used or that you created the template, so you can upload it and resize it correctly, and so it'll cut out correctly. So in Design Space, you can cut the templates once you've created them in another software, but you cannot create the templates in Design Space. With Silhouette, they do have a rhinestone panel, and you can create your templates in there. And there's some other softwares out there, a new one that I'm getting familiar with, so I'll go over that in another video as well. That kind of helps streamline the process. It makes it a little bit easier, especially when you're doing multicolor transfers. So I'll get to that in another video. But I will be doing 2 separate videos, one showing me creating a template and a design in Silhouette, as well as me creating a design in Scale 5, saving that, and uploading it into Design Space to cut with my Cricut machine. So I'll be doing both of those videos within the next 2 to 3 weeks, since I get a lot of people that ask me about those. So I've gotten all my stones onto my template. I'm just brushing all my stones off to the side to get them out the way. And then I'll grab my hot fix tape so I can go ahead and pick up the first part of the transfer, and then we can move to the second part. And the reason why I'm brushing these so slow is that with my board that I have, I actually just ordered a new one. My stones get kind of caught underneath, like where that black part is. And it's a headache trying to get them out of there. So I'm just trying to brush them over into a pile, and then I'll scoop them up and put them into the jar. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my hot fix tape. And I'm just going to peel the backing off, and you want to keep that backing because you're going to reuse this. Just set that to the side. And so I'm going to show you what works best for me when picking up my stones. So some people I know put it in the middle, center it, and then lay each side down. I do not do that. I've had it, certain times where it prematurely touched the stones and everything was off and uneven. So I actually just line mine up on the side of the design, stick it to the board, and just press it down. And I'm just making sure that I don't touch the stones yet. And I'm just pressing that down again. And then that way I have a good grip. And so I will just lay my stones down, or the tape down, and press down. And then I'll just use my larger brush to just brush over that. Now these do have a lot of stones, so just in case something does not stick, when I pull the tape up, I pull it up slowly, just in case I need to lay it back down to make sure a stone gets adhered to the tape. And usually you don't need this much tape, but because it's two pieces and there's going to be a bigger piece at the top or another piece at the top, I had to use more tape. So as you can see, I'm just peeling it back slowly, just in case some stones get missed and I need to lay it back down. And there's a couple right there, so I'm just taking my finger, pressing on it. And one still didn't pick up, so I'm going to do the same thing again. And again. All right. And so, sorry, quick power outage. I don't know if it's because I have too much stuff in my craft room, but power came back very quick, thank goodness. Okay, so back to where we were. So I've lifted the stones up. I had to turn my light back on as well. So I lifted the stones back up. And now I'm just going to grab my backing for my tape and stick that on there. And then set this part of the design off to the side so we can work on the next one. And you want to be careful when you're working with these. Once you put them on the tape, too much movement can either knock a stone out of place or knock a stone off of the tape completely. So just be careful when you're working with the hot fix tape once you put the stones on them. And so that's the first part. Just put that up there. Then I'm going to just peel this back and put it back onto the backing paper. Like I said, once you create a template, you can use it over and over and over. Word of advice, the rhinestone flock that you see on Amazon, they have it in purple, they have it in black, different colors. I have tried that, trying to cut costs and save money, and let me tell you, it was an epic fail. It was really thin and cheap, and when I first used it, brushed my stones in, everything lifted up fine, and then I went to peel it back off my board and it ripped in multiple places. So I would definitely suggest to get the Rocket Rhinestone flock. That is the pink one. I think there's like a blue one out there as well that's really good. So when it comes to making these templates, you could get the rocket, the pink flock. You could get it like in a yard. You could get it 5 yards, 10 yards, whatever you need. But I would definitely suggest either getting that rocket pink flock, or there's a blue flock that I've seen out there. I haven't used it yet, but I have heard that it does work really good. So I'm just scooped everything up and I'm just putting it back in my jar. This just makes it so much easier. I'm going to seal that up, and then we'll go on to the next piece of the design. And same process, we're just going to go ahead and peel that backing off. Put that to the side, stick it to the board, and then I'm going to pour my stones on there and we'll get started with this one. And so I'll go ahead and speed up the video so you don't have to sit through me brushing the stones into this pattern again, and then I'll come back so we can put this piece of the design with the first piece so we can layer those multicolors. All right, so I have everything brushed into the second piece, and I'm going to go ahead and peel off the tape from the backing so we can get it attached to the remaining piece of the template. So I am being very careful with this that I don't move any stones, and so I have to line this up, which I got to stand up for this. So I got to line this up to go inside, because the wrong, where it says wrong with the design I just brushed, is actually the outline. So I'm just making sure that I get all the words lined up and that they fit within the outline correctly. And then I just lay that down, and then same thing, I'll go ahead and just press that down, use my brush just to make sure that they're sticking. And again, just peel your hot fix tape up slow. That way, if something doesn't stick, you just lay it back down, press on, whatever stone or stones that didn't lift, and then just repeat that process. And so I'm just pressing it with my hands, and I'm using firm pressure even when I'm brushing, especially since this is such a large design and there's a lot of stones. So I'm going to start peeling back slowly. And there's some stones that are not picking up. I notice when I do the templates like this with the outline, usually the outline doesn't always pick up all the stones. It picks up a majority of them, but it seems to not always pick up all the stones from the outline. But that's why I say take your time. Don't just peel your tape off so fast where now you have to either take your tweezers and place your stones, or you're just trying to figure out where stones need to go. This way always works for me, whether it's a simple design or a complex design. I just always take my time when peeling up this tape. And so there's a lot of some, well, not a lot, but in each letter it seems to be like there's some stones that aren't lifting. And so we almost got them. All right. So go ahead and carefully lay that down and put my backing on there. Now, if at this point you're not about to press it on a shirt, if you're saving it for later, if it was an order you had and you're making it, go ahead and put your backing on and put it to the side. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead next and press this onto a shirt. And when you're shipping these, I would suggest putting it in between two pieces of cardstock. That way the stones aren't moved. So you definitely want to have some type of sturdy protection if you're shipping off your transfers. That way when your customer gets them, the stones are still intact, they're in place, and they could just peel the backing off and press them onto whatever item they're pressing them onto. And so again, I'm just peeling it slowly, and I just do a kind of up and down or side to side motion. That way my template does not rip. This flock is really good. I haven't had any issues with it ripping, but you still just kind of want to take your time when you're peeling it up as well. And like I say, that Amazon flock, just completely scroll by that. And my template or my backing was off a little bit, so I'm just readjusting that and then place that back down. And we'll put that to the side, and then I'll go over to the heat press and get that fired up so we can get this pressed onto a shirt. And I'm actually going to trim this down a little bit so it'll be easier to press and line up and make sure it's even. So I'll get this trimmed down and then we'll go over to the press. All right, that looks good to me. All right, and I'll get those stones brushed or scooped up and into the jar. Okay, so I have my shirt ready to go. Just moving this stand a little bit. And I just usually pull down right underneath the arms just to make sure it is even on both sides. But you'll always want to center your designs based on your collar of your shirt, or if it's a V-neck, that makes it even easier. So I actually just put a Teflon sheet on the inside, so when I'm pressing the stones and that glue activates, it doesn't stick to, it doesn't say make the front of the shirt stick to the back of the shirt. So you want to have either some butcher paper, Teflon sheets I find work best. Sometimes the butcher paper, the stones, the glue can go through and get stuck and you have to peel it off. So I would definitely suggest a Teflon sheet. So I just lint rolled my shirt, grabbed a piece of butcher paper, and I'm going to just do a quick press. And I have my t-shirt ruler, or you can use 4 fingers if you don't have a ruler. So 4 fingers from the collar. And just move that up so I can move my design up and just make sure it is even. All right, so I had some stones that were out of place, so I had to fix those. So I sped up the video. Here I'm just placing the butcher paper on there, and I'm going to press this at 340 degrees for 35 seconds. All right, and let's go ahead and peel that hot fix tape off. And I am doing this as a hot peel. And I do also peel it off slowly. All right, and it looks really good. I love how this turned out. So I'm going to just do a quick reassurance press, about a quick 5 to 10 seconds, just to make sure those stones are adhered really good to the shirt. And there you have it. I'm just going to take my Teflon sheet from the inside out. And get a little closer view there. And there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.